the last video, we talked about the break statement, which can be used to exit a loop arbitrarily. And I said this is kind of used in catastrophic situations where you're processing information and you find that there is no way for you to continue what you're processing because the final grade that I'm calculating, for example, is going to be useless. It's wrong. I know there is a problem in me entering the grades in the system, so I shouldn't continue. I shouldn't be wasting time. Now, let's say, I'm going through and here, instead of me wanting to exit the loop, I want to just say, you know what, I want to ignore this iteration of the loop. Now, if I'm going through the grades, let's say I'm here, like in the first example that we did in the last video, let's say this was reading, instead of asking the user, it was reading the grades from Blackboard to calculate your final grade. So if it's only one student that I'm going through and I'm trying to figure out their final grade, I do not want to figure their final grade out if there's a grade that's less than 0. So if I hit a grade that's less than 0, there is no reason for me to continue looking through this student's grades because I know that there is a mistake. And whatever grade I calculate for them at the end, there is something wrong with it. So I don't want to continue. I want to just exit the loop. And that's why we used break. Now, let's say I'm going through all the students in the class and I go through student A and I calculate the grades of student A and I already finished student A. So here I have 24 students. So let's say A, B, C, D, okay. And I'm going through the grades for student A, reading in, their first grade, second grade, third grade, and I'm done, looks good. So I calculate their grade. I go to B, I read their first grade, second grade, third grade, everything looks good, I calculate their grade. I come to C, I read their first grade, their second grade, and then I'm trying to read their third grade, and it's a negative number. Should I continue calculating the grade of C? No. I don't want to calculate the final grade of C. So this person got an A, this one got a C. This one, I can't calculate their grade because there's a negative number. So what I want to do is I want to skip the calculation of their final grade. But do I want to just skip C and just kind of exit and throw away everything and not even calculate D and E and F and all the other students? No, what I want to do is I just want to skip C, but I want to move on to D and start checking their grades, okay? And so on. So if you do not want to just exit the whole loop, because if I use the break here, if I use the break, it's going to stop and none of this is going to get processed. The whole loop will stop. But what I want to do is I want to use a keyword that will make me skip just this person. So in that case, what I would do is use the word continue instead of break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the same code that I had here, but instead of using break, I'm going to use continue. And I'm going to show you what this does. Okay. Okay, so here, let's start. Enter a quiz grade, 10, 6. Okay, so far okay. Now I'm going to enter a bad grade, -7. What happened? Did it print the -7? No, it didn't. So that means it skipped whatever is after. Now, what happened? What did it do? It actually went. So here, what the continue says to do, tells the code to do, is skip the iteration of the loop that you're on. Stop what you're doing in this loop, skip all these lines. So skip line 17, skip line 18, and immediately go back and ask the question again. I'm not even updating here the count. So I'm not even counting this grade. So I'm going up and saying now, is count less than or equal to 10? It is still, so I ask the user again. And so this loop, what it does, it basically skips the iteration of the loop when it sees the word continue. Let's just make it, let's make this 4 so that we see what happens. So this loop is supposed to ask for 4 good numbers. So if I give 4 good numbers, it finishes. Now let's run it again, and I'm going to give it some bad numbers in the middle. So I give it 10, and then I give it negative 10, it didn't count it. Negative 20 doesn't count it. Negative 30, it's not counting it. Now if I say 20, 30, 40, it's counting those. So it's skipping printing the grade, and it's skipping adding 1 when the grade is bad. So what's the difference between break and continue? Break exits the loop. It kind of says no more testing. That's it. Exit the loop. Whatever is here, whatever line is after, that's what's going to happen. So here, the break would immediately go to line 10. But what the continue does is say, it's not going to exit. It's going to say, skip this iteration of the loop. Okay, so it's not really catastrophic. I'm not ending, but I just want to say something is invalid. Something is wrong here. So I want to just skip this number. So here, what it's going to do, it's going to immediately go to line 14 again. So here, let me just write a comment for you. Break will cause the code to go to the print done line. Okay, exiting the loop. But here, what the continue is going to do is going to cause the code to go back and test while count less than or equal to 4. So it skips everything that's underneath and immediately just goes back to the test. That is what the continue does. Let's look at this example to see what this code is doing. And you can pause the video again and try to understand. So again, here we have while true. So there's no way to exit this loop except with a break statement. Again, we're printing out to the user a greater than sign. And now we're checking if the line, and this notation we didn't really take yet, but this is what this is doing. It's checking the first letter, the first character of the string line. So whatever the user types, it's checking the first letter. And it's saying if the first letter is the pound sign, the hash, which is used for comments, I'm going to continue. I'm going to ignore this line. So immediately, if it sees that, it's going to come back and say true, yes, go on and display this again. Now, if the user had entered the word done, it breaks and exits. Let's see what's going to happen. When the user starts up this program, it's going to print the greater than sign. The user types hello there, reads hello there, and checks. Is the first character an H? No. Is it done? No. So I'm going to print it. So it prints hello there. Comes back and it's going to display the greater than again. And then the user typed pound, don't print this. So it's going to check the first character. Is it the pound? Yes. So it's going to continue. Continue means loop, back, and check again. It's true, so it's going to go and say print again greater than. So it prints again, and the user says print this. So it's going to check the first letter. The first letter is a P. Is it a pound? No. Is the string the user entered done? No. So it's going to print it. And so it says print this. It prints whatever the user typed. And then it goes back around, prints the greater than sign, and now the user printed done. Now, is the first letter a pound? No. Is it the word done? Yes. So it breaks out of the loop. It goes out of the loop and goes here to the print line, and it prints done. So what we've talked about so far is one way of doing loops, which is the while loop. And we said there are 3 parts to it: the initialization, the test, and the update, where you have a variable that you initialize, you test on, and you update. That's the normal way of going through loops. But sometimes you might want to exit a loop early, and in that case, you use the break statement. And sometimes you just want to skip just one iteration of a loop and immediately go back to the test. And in that case, we use the continue keyword.